The questions should be answered yes or no and justified by the evidence or testimony received during the investigation.
Oh god, okay. Do we have an idea of the weapon used for the crime? Yes. Colonel Patterson. No, second time I was talking to him. Da, 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 da. What? I can't find the gun. It must have been the second time then. Yeah, here, okay. Could the murderer escape through the stairs going to the second floor? No? The ashes found in the smoking room are from English cigarettes. No. Was the side door going to the kitchen open after the shot? I don't know. I'm gonna say no. I'm just gonna put Colonel Patterson for now, I'm not really sure. Did Miss Lambert choose tablecloths and arrange tables? No. Mary, maybe? Yes, we do, because... Did Miss Lambert choose tablecloths and arrange tables? I don't know. The logical thing, I would think he would be Miss Lambert herself. I have no idea. What else am I missing? I know I'm missing one. Am I done?
It is simplicity itself, Watson. We have answered all the questions.
Thank God. That one with Sataway I may have looked up, but I would have been here all day otherwise.
My dear Lestrade, I congratulate you on the precise quality of your notes. It is true that you have missed everything of importance, but you have spared me the trouble of eliminating the trifles and pointed me in the right direction. I hear familiar steps on the stairs. Please be seated, Watson. You must be famished. Lestrade was kind enough to bring a copy of his notes, hoping it would be of assistance in this affair.
Indeed.
You can study them now and enjoy your meal. Please take your time, Watson, because bad digestion weakens our ability to reason.
Holmes, you will get no argument from me, as this dish is delicious.
We will go to Sherringford Hall with Lestrade when you're finished with your meal.
I must read the documents Holmes gave me.
Okay then, if we must. Oh my God! That's so many! Okay. The crime. Report on the investigation, the case of Sherringford Hall. Inspector in charge, Lestrade. 14th of October, 1897. Before 11 o'clock in the evening, Sir Melvin Bromsby, engineer, architect and contractor of renown, was slain by a single gunshot in his mansion, Sherringford Hall. The crime, the author of which is still undermined, took place in the ballroom during the reception arranged by the victim in honour of his daughter's return to England. She has spent the last several years at finishing school on the continent. Despite the presence of 100 witnesses, no precise testimony was obtained regarding the exact circumstances of this horrific act. Nevertheless, based upon certain evidence, there is presumption of suspicion towards the daughter of the victim, Miss Lavinia Bromsby. Instrument of crime. Report by Inspector Lestrade, 14th of October, 1897. Instrument of crime. The bullet extracted from the corpse of the victim corresponds to the caliber of the revolver found in Miss Lavinia Bromsby's purse. This purse found on the floor was near the door from which Miss Lavinia Bromsby first appeared after the mortal shot was fired. All of the witnesses agree that the sound of the shot originated at or near this very same doorway. The revolver is an old small-bore Wright, which is also a highly reliable weapon. This would explain why the only shot fired was mortal, despite a distance of several dozen feet and a difficult angle. Miss Lavinia claims that the victim personally gave her this revolver before the crime, for the purpose of her protection against some unnamed threat. This account can be supported by the fact that these models are impossible to find out of the continent where Miss Lavinia has spent the last years. Premeditation can be excluded if she is found to be the murderer. The motive. Report by Inspector Lestrade, 14th of October, 1897. The motive. The victim, even if he had few or even no friends, still might not have enemies capable of committing this act. His strong unpopularity among his domestics was compensated by the attractive wages he paid them. His business partners spoke of him as a tough but fair player according to the criterions of this environment. The fact that he spent long years in India and was solely devoted to his business precludes any crime of jealousy or passion. Finally, the modus operandi doesn't correspond to the typical revenge killing by this or that Hindu sect, though these things do happen. The motive then must apply to his holdings of something quite personal, another line of reasoning that points to Miss Lavinia Bromsby. According to H. Grimble, the partner of Sir Bromsby, her relationships with her father had become so strained that Sir Bromsby visited his daughter only once during these past 6 years. A local constable must contact Mr. H. Fowlett, the attorney of Sir Bromsby, in order to recover the essential parts of his last will and testament, if it exists. The development of the crime. Report by Inspector Lestrade, 14th of October, 1897. The development. With regard to the distance and the angle of shooting, it would be reasonable to suppose that only an expert marksman could have succeeded in making such a shot, but the factor of probability still exists and admits other possibilities. The testimony of the groups of cabmen, who were in the ideal place to have observed such matters, saw no one leave through the service door after the shooting, and up until the time when one of the domestics locked it from the outside. All the windows are equipped with thick bars, and the fortuitous presence of the maid at the stairwell indicates that no one ascended to that floor. The testimony of Miss Lambert, the governess, indicates that she noticed only 2 people absent from the ballroom during Sir Bromsby's arrival: Mr. Horace Fowlett, the victim's attorney, and Miss Lavinia Bromsby. The domestics had been specifically instructed that all the guests were to be present during Sir Bromsby's entrance. I have been persuaded by all accounts that anyone who had left the ballroom had returned before Sir Bromsby's entrance. Since Horace Fowlett hasn't gone through the gates of mansion of Sherringford Hall, the only person whose movements were unaccounted for at the time of the shooting is Miss Lavinia Bromsby. The chivalrous testimony of a young infantry officer who has confirmed that he saw her standing at the threshold of the door can be the only reason for not charging her with murder. As Miss Bromsby was in a state of deep shock last evening, according to the local doctor who examined her, her interview was delayed until today. Jesus Christ, this is a lot of reading. Scotland Yard report. General information about the man called Sir Melvyn Bromsby. No official involvement as a defendant in any criminal or civil matters. No appearance as a witness in a criminal or civil law case. Complainant as to a robbery committed at a fair stand in St. Bartholomew on July 1861. Judgment of the court was favourable for the Crown. Melvyn Bromsby. Dear Sherlock, here is all the information that we know about the late Sir Melvyn Bromsby. Born in 1842 in Stratfordshire of a modest family, he finished his studies of architecture and civil engineering owing to the scholarship and financial assistance of his elder sister, who owned a florist shop. After he was awarded his diploma, he was employed by a small firm which he later left for a large enterprise, the Salinger Company. In 1872, he was sent to India to assist in the construction of a bridge for the army. At the end of this project, in 1874, he left his position with Salinger and founded his own enterprise in Bombay. At that same time, he courted Carlotta Campbell, the second daughter of Colonel Campbell, OBE, Commander-in-Chief of an important local garrison. The military appreciated Bromsby's straightforwardness and business acumen. Acumen? Yeah. Thus, the army entrusted him with many contracts for constructing barracks and other types of work. In 1877, he was married to Carlotta. His business flourished and he hired a young accountant, Mr. Grimble, who later became Bromsby's personal assistant. An ideal candidate for the position, Grimble excelled at his various administrative tasks, so Bromsby's business had continued to prosper over the years. In 1879, Carlotta Bromsby, née Campbell, died, giving birth to their daughter Lavinia. So that's what happened to the mother. Okay then. Bromsby's business enjoys great success. However, the fact that he has been awarded nearly all of the Army's civilian contracts has aroused the jealousy and suspicion of other British businessmen in India. It has been rumoured that he gained his fortune through the exploitation of his Indian labourers and British workmen, poor working conditions and miserable wages. In 1884, upon learning of the death of his elder sister, he decided to return home and prepared the transfer of his business interests to England. He also invested his money in several cement factories, which permitted him to reduce his costs further and thus increase his profits. In 1891, he sent his daughter to study at a finishing school near St. Maurice in Switzerland. She has just returned to England several days ago. He was awarded a knighthood in 1892. There are several cases where his name has been mentioned because of suggested fraud with his contracts and ill usage of convict labourers at his factories. Such practices are common in London business circles, and his wealth allowed him to avoid scrutiny by the courts. Thus, when his behaviour is weighed within the current climate of commercial morality, he is neither angel nor demon. Assuming his business assets are included, his current fortune would be measured in the tens of thousands of pounds. That would make him one of the wealthiest contractors in Britain. I wish you good luck in this case, Mycroft. Thank you, Mycroft.
All this is very interesting. According to the evidence, it seems that the shooter was not in the ballroom or the corridor. Where was he then?
Are you finished, Watson? Shall we go? Let us return to Sherringford Hall.
Yes, let's go.